This is an important video for all Tesla stock investors. It contains a warning, and there's also a lot of news that you need to go through. First, there is a bigger Tesla stock opportunity today, and I still personally believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 per share, by the way. I looked at the comments of the last video, and they're saying Tesla stock is going down. And if you look at the last few months, sure, but if you look at the last 12 months, which is usually what even short-term traders look at, it's up 50% year over year, which is incredible. Look at the last 5 years, and it's up 460%, and very few stocks that are big are out this much. So I completely reject the emotionality from a lot of short-term traders or just people that just can't handle their emotions and therefore start panicking, and expect to see a lot more of that. When people get emotional, that's where the big money is made. Now, why exactly is Tesla stock down today? Well, if you look at the broader markets, they are down. Although that's not totally the only reason why the stock is down. Now, the bears are going to say that the reason why the stock is down is because the insider, Chair Robin Denholm, just sold a bunch of Tesla stock, but I completely reject this narrative as well, because she has constantly been selling Tesla stock for quite a few years actually now, and the latest sales were all a part of a plan initiated in July 2024. So if you act surprised, you were completely unaware of her earlier sales and her earlier plans. And she wants to diversify, I believe, cash out from Tesla because most of her wealth is still largely in Tesla, and she wants to reduce that. Every Tesla stock investor that has actually done a lot of research knows about this. Now, this, on the other hand, is slightly more credible. Germany just reported their sales for Tesla, and it is lower than before. And you would naturally expect that because Tesla is still going through a refresh. The best-selling vehicle in the world, the Model Y, is going for a massive refresh, so of course sales would be down. Now, would they be down 76% year over year? That's a different question. But they are definitely down. But everyone was already expecting lower numbers from Europe, so how much is this contributing? That's a big question to Tesla stock being a bit lower today. But also, here's some good news from Europe, from the UK specifically. Tesla sales in the UK year over year surged 21%. So this is certainly pretty good. Now, one of the big reasons why the market has been so fickle lately is because of the tariff trade war between Canada and the US. However, there was just an exception granted to the auto sector for another month. So this might continue for a few more months where we are expecting, tariffs for the auto industry should go in effect. Not for another month. I would certainly not be surprised if this continues over and over and over again. So that's definitely a warning to all Tesla stock investors, but there's one more thing to keep in mind. Cathie Wood was just on TV saying that full self-driving will be safer than humans in Q4 actually, so that's a massive prediction coming from Cathie Wood. And here's that second warning. Dan Ives says that 90% of Tesla's value is based on autonomy and Optimus. Looking at the future, to me, largely this has been obvious for a long time now. However, I've been driving in my Tesla, and day after day after day after day after day, I have now been having no disengagements. I still sometimes intervene by, for example, using the turn signal for the car to change lanes sometimes, but it's not a disengagement. It's just sort of a bit of a nudge or pressing the accelerator pedal when I'm going for a stop sign, so I don't need to suffer from a double stop. But I just took my friend to an airport and no interventions, zero interventions. I even let the car do double stops when it was going through stop signs because I wanted to show my friend, hey, look, this drive could have been a robot taxi already. I could have just turned it on, closed my eyes, do nothing, and you would have been taken to the airport safely. We got some big news here. Tesla will build its third mega factory in Texas. Tesla will occupy 2 buildings totaling 1.6 million square feet. That's huge, investing about $200 million in upgrades and equipment. And the county commissioners actually approved a tax abatement to support the project today. So the building already exists, which will allow Tesla to start building much sooner over there. And this factory will be a moneymaker. It will generate between 8 to 10 billion in revenue per year. Tesla will definitely sell every single mega pack it will make. I am so looking forward to this. You know, if Tesla was not going to solve full self-driving and make it safer than human driving, my bet would be that eventually Tesla's energy business is going to generate more revenue than the auto business. And if you are of the opinion that Tesla is never going to solve full self-driving, I would be really incredibly interested in the Tesla energy business because that business is so wildly profitable, more profitable than the auto business, and it's growing exponentially. Tesla is building another factory now, before the second factory has even scaled, but it will scale fast because in China they do things fast. Now, looking at Sawyer's revenue estimates, actually we need to consider this. This factory is going to be 3 to 4 times the size of the first 2 Megapack factories. It's much bigger. Although it is guessed that some of the extra space will be used for warehousing, but it is certainly very likely that this factory is actually going to produce more than the previous 2 factories. And by the way, this new factory is not going to be in Austin, Texas. It's actually going to be just outside of Houston, and I'll be in Houston. I'm actually doing an event in Houston during which I will share everything I know about money because my younger brothers have been asking me about that. So I'm just doing an event for that. If you would like to attend, feel free to click down on the link below. Now, interestingly, based on the reports, this new Megapack factory actually used to be a Tesla warehouse before. We actually got more news in regards to batteries for Tesla. LG's new $5.5 billion battery manufacturing plant in Arizona will start mass production in the first half of 2026 to meet orders from Tesla and others. And this does include 4680 cells. Production is set to start in the spring of 2026, so in just 1 single year. Anyway, Cathie Wood has been talking quite a bit about Tesla, and she remains bullish on Tesla stock, very bullish. She predicts a $25,000 Tesla boosting demand, robotaxis launching in Austin by June, and FSD surpassing human driving safety by Q4. And in 5 years, their Tesla stock price target remains well above $2,000. And based on the current price of Tesla stock, her price target basically projects that in 5 years, Tesla stock will 10x. This is not surprising at all. Goldman Sachs has cut its Tesla stock price target to 320 from 345. They say, we lower our below consensus delivery estimates for Tesla, reflecting the quarter-to-date data for key regions, for example, China, Europe, and the US, as well as what we believe are broader demand trends, for lower Tesla stock price targets. Interestingly, though, the average Tesla stock price target still remains well above the current price of Tesla stock. An average Tesla stock price target from Wall Street is actually sitting at $374 per share. However, some analysts currently are downgrading their price targets, with Ben Kallo from Baird just announcing a fresh pick designation for Tesla stock. A bearish fresh pick, to be exact. However, he is still assigning a buy rating for Tesla stock, so I wouldn't really look much into this. Tesla just announced a hiring event in India, so Tesla is definitely making moves in India, and I don't think this time Tesla will pull out of India. I think that's very unlikely. And Farzad appears to be dropping some bombshells here, so let's go through them and see. Within all the political noise, Tesla has been making some pretty giant moves. Tesla FSD appears to be almost the best performing self-driving suite in China from the get with minimal training data. And keep in mind that there are companies with geofencing, local map data, LiDARs, and Tesla is largely outperforming them still. This means Tesla's FSD will likely be the best solution by far in a few short months in the region. Super impressive, he says. Also, there was huge news for Tesla. Trump proposed making interest on car loans tax deductible in the US if the vehicles are made in the US, which Teslas are, so this will really benefit Tesla. That's really good news for Tesla. And they haven't gotten rid of the EV tax credit, and that's on top of the EV tax credit. And Sawyer is making some big statements here. Elon Musk is a mission-driven individual, always has been. It would be stupid to assume he's motivated by a personal financial gain. While wealth is a byproduct of his work, it is not the goal. I think he's largely motivated by going to Mars, and for that he needs a lot of money. So I think wealth acquisition is still a driving force for Elon, but it's not for the sake of getting richer, it's for the sake of going to Mars. But here, Sawyer actually makes a very good point. Some people argue that Elon is using his involvement with DOGE and government connections for self-enrichment. Yet those same people also claim that Tesla's stock decline, causing his net worth to drop by over $160 billion, is due to those very actions and political involvement. So which is it? If Elon's primary goal were wealth accumulation, he could just start another company. XAI was founded less than 24 months ago and is already valued at $75 billion. I hope still that Tesla is going to get a piece of that. There is a lawsuit ongoing about that. The lawsuit started in the middle of last year, and likely we will not have any conclusions from this lawsuit until the end of this year. So it says here, he doesn't need DOGE or political ties to grow his fortune. Elon uses his wealth as a tool to achieve his goals and advance his missions. Every company he has founded operates with a mission statement focused on improving people's lives. His work on DOGE is just over a month in, still in the early stages. Mistakes are expected in such a fast-paced environment. And certainly some mistakes have been made, but a lot of these mistakes were corrected very, very soon. In the long run, Sawyer believes people will look back with appreciation for the positive impact he has made, not just in business, but also in government. Now, Elon Musk endorsed the presidential presidential candidate that was elected eventually on July 13th. And since then, Tesla is only up about 8%. So basically, no real tangible difference from that date. I mean, there was a huge gain here, which was largely due to his political candidate winning, Trump winning. But then people are making an argument that the reason why the stock is down here is because of the political backlash. If you're talking strictly about just selling cars, Elon being involved politically, probably not the best idea. But if you're also looking beyond that, and if you're looking at regulations and permits, Elon being in the government, I think that definitely helps with that. I never thought that regulatory approvals would actually be a huge issue, at least not in the long term. In the short term, sure, you can make it much harder. But now with Elon in the government and him basically being in favor of full self-driving regulation to be made at the federal level, I really don't see any regulatory approval issues anymore. So once Tesla solves full self-driving in a short to medium term, what Elon Musk has done with the government and him having some power with the government definitely is going to be incredibly beneficial to Tesla. In the meantime, Tesla indeed is definitely making progress with FSD. Omar is speculating here that this new FSD release, and we do see new releases after Tesla vehicles are deployed to this area where Chuck lives. He's speculating, Omar, that this new model is going to be 3 times larger, and if that's true, this version should be significantly better. And this girl in China is actually basically working for a company like Uber, and she's using FSD while she's driving passengers around, and as you can see, it's all going smoothly. At least here, I'm not seeing any intervention, so yeah, it's good enough for that in China already, and the thing is only gonna get much better. And here, a Tesla vehicle handles a downtown area in China fine, no issues, and that was definitely tricky. No issues. So definitely don't underestimate the team that Tesla has put together to solve full self-driving. I believe these guys will succeed. Oh, there's definitely a Model S and X refresh coming. Here's another very strong hint. Tesla Japan has announced that they will stop taking new orders for the Model S and X on March 31st. And Lars from Tesla did say that Tesla is going to work on the Model S and X, that they will not discontinue it. So to me, the only thing that this means is a new refresh. Okay, so earlier there was a shooting and Molotov cocktails even were used in 2 separate incidents at this showroom in Oregon, which is a very liberal place, and all that caused $500,000 in damages. But now this 41-year-old man faces a federal charge of illegally possessing an unregistered destructive device, so justice is going to be served. However, to add one more warning to this whole video, my conservative friend, who I've never heard him criticize Trump ever, never once. He has a Tesla actually, and he's planning to go on a road trip, but he's actually worried about stopping at superchargers and having to charge and then being harassed by people that hate Elon Musk. This is what he was concerned about. So I'm just saying, there are people that actually do support Elon politically very strongly, and the president of the US as well. And I'm not so sure if he is definitely going to buy another Tesla, at least if he had to make the decision today. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not concerned about that because I believe that Tesla is going to solve full self-driving, make it safer for human driving. And if that happens, then none of that actually even matters at all. And then there's Tesla's energy business, which I don't think relies on people having favorable opinion of Tesla politically. However, that supercharging location that was lit on fire and largely destroyed, just 48 hours later, Tesla has completely replaced the supercharger cabinets and wires that were set on fire, and it's fully back online now. I don't think there's another company on Earth that deploys superchargers that would fix the issue this quickly, that has a network this big. And hint, hint, only Tesla has a network really this big. And yet, it's still extremely fast and nimble despite its size. And Tesla is continuing to expand its supercharging network despite supposedly the whole Tesla supercharging team disappearing last year for some time. Tesla's actually going to build 88 stalls in this area in California. And the Tesla semis are definitely coming too, because there will be 18 Tesla Semi charging stalls. And then we have some really good news here, so good that it makes me want to dance. Tesla's reincorporation to Texas was legal. Delaware Judge Kathleen McCormick has ruled today. That person that hates Tesla and Elon Musk has ruled in favor of Elon Musk here. So Tesla investors are definitely celebrating this news. Now, I personally think there's also a little bit of a reason for Elon Musk to be supportive of the current administration in the US, and one reason for the endorsement of the president and his administration was to increase the likelihood of Elon Musk getting his compensation package approved eventually, even if the cores disagree with his compensation package. I think there's a lot of things that the highest office in the US can actually do to make a few moves to make it more likely that Elon Musk does eventually get his compensation package, which I'm sure in the long term he will get eventually. And look, for those who disagree, let me just read this from Elon. This is from a year ago. "I'm uncomfortable growing Tesla to be a leader in AI and robotics without having 25% voting control, enough to be influential, but not so much that I can't be overturned." And Elon Musk getting that compensation package, that of course increases his control of Tesla, and his compensation package being in limbo, that is definitely not great for Tesla stock investors, because Elon Musk is also making his future decisions based on that. He's right now uncertain. Am I going to get this compensation package? I'm sure he will, though, and I'm sure he thinks most likely he will. But then what happens after that compensation package? Is there going to be another compensation package? That is largely uncertain. And I want Elon to get his next compensation package, whether that's monetary or just to increase his control of Tesla. I'm okay with that, because with that, I believe that Elon will spend more time, effort, and attention on Tesla. And maybe he will build more AI products at Tesla then. And perhaps in my ideal case scenario, Tesla eventually gets a huge piece of XAI. I would be so happy if that happens. But even if it doesn't, the opportunity with full self driving is so huge that it doesn't really matter. It's just what happens after that. And after that, largely is going to be the bot. Also, Tesla energy business is going to be huge. But even that is going to, relatively speaking, pale in comparison to what Tesla's robotaxis and full self-driving technology is going to do to the price of Tesla stock. What Tesla bot can do to Tesla stock price eventually, if everything materializes as Elon thinks it will, that will just completely overshadow any gains from full self-driving that we would get, because the opportunity with Tesla bots is just so much bigger. And with Grok 3 now being basically the best AI in the world, although there are some nuances in that statement, and Grok 3 is not just better in every single way, shape, and form yet, but clearly Elon Musk has incredible capacity and capability to make Grok 3 the best AI in the world, which is likely going to happen. Dylan Loomis just made this post. I'd love to know what Elon Musk really thinks about Tesla sales and brand damage right now. Is it a nothing burger in his mind, or does he think he's making things a lot harder for some owners of Teslas and Tesla stock and just accepts it because pushing back woke ideologies globally is so important? I think he understands that there are a lot of protests, like for example the ones in New York City and just in Oregon, and we've seen quite a few protests around the US that I showed you in previous videos, and there's definitely things happening. And speaking just with some of my friends who are conservative, there's definitely some reluctance about buying a Tesla later if this continues. And mind you, these are not independents, these are conservative people. On the other hand, I know an independent, and he's like, I don't really care, all of this is gonna go away soon anyway. He just wants to get the best car, and he was really impressed with the FSD, and he thinks, yeah, it's just a matter of time before this actually becomes not an issue anymore. So I personally think that Elon Musk understands that there is a lot of blowback, and that's definitely not a positive thing for Tesla. But as long as full self-driving is solved, none of that actually really matters. And Elon Musk personally has so much money now that he's definitely not worried about losing $100 billion here or there. I mean, Elon Musk can lose something like $300 billion and still be a multi-billionaire. And being a multi-billionaire definitely sets you for life. And I think cleaning up the government, making the government a lot more efficient, is definitely increasing the chances of him eventually sending rockets to Mars. I think the government can actually contribute to that quite a bit. So I know that Warren Redlick now lives in Thailand and not in the US anymore, so I would not really agree with him here. He says there's no Tesla brand damage, we are just seeing media outrage that few believe. But people that I know personally that are conservatives, I can see how their opinion is changing. They still love Elon, they still love Tesla overall, they just don't want to be seen in a Tesla. But also keep in mind that Vancouver City overall is very liberal. It's one of the most liberal cities in the world. However, driving around Vancouver City, I have not experienced a single instance of someone saying or looking at me in a weird way just because I'm in a Tesla. This hasn't happened a single time. And I have zero bumper stickers or anything like that on my Tesla. And not a single friend of mine here in Vancouver City experienced anything like that either. And I mean, the ones that drive Teslas. And I definitely, absolutely, 100% here agree with Sandy Munro. Sandy Munro says Elon Musk is the greatest person on the planet. He points out that it was Elon who led the electrification. It was Elon who's pushing for 48 volts. It is Elon that has pushed for so many innovations. It's Elon that's going to put a rocket on Mars. It's Elon who can build rockets that are reusable rapidly. So a big shout out goes to Sandy Munro. I'm a big fan of his, by the way. And Elon Musk, actually, he reposted that post from Farzad that I already went through. So that's nice. We got numbers from China for the weekly deliveries. For this latest week, we had 12,400 registrations compared to 6,900. So that's a big increase. And that's largely because last week was the first week that included new Model Y deliveries. So we are getting back to the normal range of deliveries now. Not quite there yet, but pretty much we are almost there now. And if the ramp continues well, I assume the next week is going to be noticeably higher. Tesla launched a promotion here. Tesla has introduced 0% financing for new Model 3 orders in the US. Starting this Tuesday, passengers in Austin, Texas can request a driverless Waymo car through the Uber app. So Tesla is going to be competing with Waymo in Austin directly, as well as Uber. And this week, the president gave a speech to all of Congress, and Elon Musk was there as well. And Farzad points out something important. Elon's new software update is really good so far. The seat looks nice, plus the hand movement is coordinated and in the right places. More testing required before a final judgment, though, he says. And today, the Tesla stock buying opportunity has certainly gotten bigger, and many of you in the last 14 months in the comments, I noticed, you have been asking and saying, well, I do want to buy Tesla stock, but I just have no more money to buy Tesla stock because all my money is already in Tesla stock, and how my income does not support me buying a lot more Tesla stock. In my case, I am able to buy a lot more Tesla stock. And my brothers, the younger ones, they have been asking me everything I know about money. So what I'm doing is I'm putting together an event, and during that, I will share everything I know about money. I will not be holding anything back because I'm doing that for my brothers. But you guys are also welcome to come. There's a link down below. And I'll see you there if you do want to come. And if you do come, I do believe it's going to be the best financial decision that you have made so far. And depending on how much news there is going to be, there might be a new video for me tomorrow. If not, then I will probably see you back on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. I believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 per share, and I'll see you soon.